Friday, April 17th, 11:41 a.m. What's up, traders? So, we are back on the markets. On your screen is CF Industrial Holdings, our play for this resolution to the Iran conflict, Iran war. I did re-enter, as you can see, yesterday and 2 days ago between 1950 and 24-ish. So a good little position here. Again, we've been trading it. It's been in the log for a while. Wanted to talk you through the thought process. Same type of stuff for just trading management consideration. And so just overall with this Iran conflict, as we stated and documented, right? Oh my gosh, the house is on fire. Grandma's dying. A week goes by. It's like, do I get an inheritance? You know, what's in it for me? You get some sort of stimulus, some sort of news event. The war breaks. We have something very new immediately. A lot of reactions, a lot of volatility. As that reality sets in, you just kind of adjust, and the overall sentiment kind of movement just wanes over time. And so I think we've seen that tremendously. Point being is for CF, we have this initial pop-up. It had earnings pretty much right before the conflict kicked off, and then I see the entire appreciation above $100 as short-term stimulated by the United States' involvement in bombing Iran, Strait of Hormuz, the news headlines you've seen every single day for the past 2 months. And so regardless, I'm trying to keep the timing specific because, like I said, I re-entered this in the past 2 days. But during that time frame, there was some, again, the headlines, keep whipsawing back and forth tremendously so, as I'm sure everyone's aware. And so, regardless, 2 days ago, there was some further, because we closed out right around 119 from a 132 position, price average. Up here, we caught this drop. We did not close it down in the 110. We closed it right around here, like 119. And so, we flop around a couple more days, more time goes past, and then we have some more, somewhere in this news cycle, we had some more stimulus where it's like, okay, this conflict might be kicking off a little bit more, or something within the past 48 hours was a little hung. But we had no reaction in the stock price of CF. So kind of this thesis of shit's hitting the fan, grandma's dying, and then a month or two goes by and you're kind of like, what's in it for me? What's going on now? Just using an example to say people digest whatever calamity hits. And so in the price action of CF, I saw the re-stimulation as not really being that big of a thing, and the overall resolution, what that really looks like, kind of definitive or inevitable in the short term within a month or so. And so getting, midway through April, we had this 2-week or 1-week ceasefire, some little hiccups, and then an announcement this morning that it was pretty much the strait was open. Literally right before I turned on this video, there was some sort of clarification from the Iranian state media saying there is opening kind of, but it's with the passage or the escort of the Iranian armed forces. Regardless, for our trading considerations, all of the new stimulus seems to be digested to me, and so as evidenced by me taking the position in the past 2 days, I thought further resolution definitively and inevitable, further appreciation on CF specifically because of this conflict as waning substantially to not at all. And so have a hard stop loss. I've moved this a little bit. I had it at like 118 after just talking to the management of this position. I had it tighter for again, up until the Gucci Mane hour, the 1017, which I don't know how he's doing since he got robbed by Pooh Shiesty. What do you expect when you sign a dude named Pooh Shiesty? Oh, what a weird rap name. Some of the songs were all right. But regardless, 1017 hit, and the overall volume and volatility of today, we are on Friday where I expect more things to sell off. I'm always short biased in general. I think it's way easier to, hey, this thing's moving and I think it's dying off here, as opposed to, let's pick the next thing that's going to rocket up. But you certainly have more appreciation potential from call options or from long positions than you do from shorting or puts. It's just, again, our overarching thing to take a position or close a position is conviction. If it's going to go up and we're sure of it, depending on how sure, that's the position sizing. It always makes sense to buy something that's going to go up, and it always makes sense to sell something that is going to go down. So we were in the profit here. We had a hard stop loss around 118. I moved it down after the morning volatility. Because I see from this position, again, any appreciation above 100 to me is like, this is strictly war driven. The overall, to me, this isn't even really trading. Right? You look here at these daily candles and you say, oh, it's going up and down. In reality, you have some sort of announcements. This thing will either move directly on that announcement to a new level, and then it just kind of like blah from there. I would not call this trading. And these are the type of positions that I do have the highest convictions on. So I wanted to do a little compare and contrast with QURE, another, again, pharmaceutical thing. We followed way back when it gets some sort of good FDA approval thing, which that whole academia, law enforcement, that whole racket is a racket. But regardless, we have this huge appreciation, and then it just misses whatever FDA pipeline thing it needed next, and it immediately comes back down. So these are a lot of the things when you see our hosts on CNBC, everyone kind of gets excited, right? We've had appreciation in the market the past 3 days, 4 days, 2 weeks, or whatever. Again, whatever, the S&P's at all-time highs, like it's 7,100 right now. And so, yeah, literally all-time high right now. So our income, we'll get to the income funds in a bit, but we have this overall sentiment, and again, from our hosts on CNBC to our guests, it's like if people echo bullish sentiment, everyone gets like excited. And then it's like, okay, well, like what stock, what indice? Because again, the indices capture the overall momentum of a given market, which I really mean country, right? U.S. equities is the S&P 500. Again, you can be in indices with international exposure, so on and so forth. But what am I saying? The pairing the sentiment of just bullish sentiment in general, like, hey man, we're back on track, stocks are going up, and then it's just like, that's the overall sentiment. Then it's like, okay, what do I buy? And they're like, well, I don't know, we could have 20% this year, we could have 10%. And I wanted to point out and emphasize this general positive bullish sentiment, and everyone's kind of like excited, and then that happens on a day, and then the next day shows up, and then we don't have anything. Let's say the war gets completely resolved. We've digested this new excitement of the war being resolved, and then it's like the excitement like immediately fades, and so it's then right back again, this price to earnings conversation, which again I have no opinion on. But point being is whenever we have this reversal from something negative, we get this overall general positivity without real articulation. Again, it's just like I feel like the bald eagles are screeching. Everyone's saying America, ha ha ha, whew. We wipe off our brow, stocks never go down, we're back into cutting interest rates, and appreciation to the moon. That's fine. What stock do I buy? Well, it's not the whole stock market, and it's just this general like sentiment of like, hey man, the Republicans slapping each other on the back, or Democrats slapping, we did it. And just trying to emphasize, again, this disconnect between general positive sentiment and then as like an overall good thing. You see it in all the guests and all of the hosts. And then it's like, okay, I want to make money. What do I buy? And they're like, well, I don't know. It's like, thanks, Scott Wapner. But regardless, that's kind of like the sentiment going on right now. Overall, frankly, I'm more bullish, I would say, than like I'm not into take a position, but do I think the S&P is going to increase? Once this war resolves, I don't really see, again, why do stocks go up in general? To me, it's just this progressing of population, policy making more sense in general, right? We're going to have regulation. Regulation is good, but if it becomes more consistent with what people want, then that's an overall positive and towards market progression. And so, again, that's another, why does the stock market generally tend to go up is not a fundamental question I pretty much ever see people acknowledge on CNBC, which is certainly a conversation worth having. Things don't go up forever, even in like the longer term trends of population increase. I don't see that as a super relevant conversation to right now, today, or even to tomorrow, or in 50 years, or however. Again, like we can start having like economic questions of, again, when do things change? How fast do they change on like a meaningful analytical framework? I don't think that's possible today, but we're getting closer. Seeing as all of analysis is solved. Again, I did that. But regardless, that's kind of my overall market perspective, on just what's going on today. So again, if I'm bullish, like I said, even in a bullish environment, I still look for the stocks that overshoot to the upside to short. Because again, it's like what stock goes long, and we're right back to what sector has the most appreciation low price per share for the assets, policy, or some sort of fundamental progression to substantially change the environment for the whole sector is this disruption to the pharmaceutical fraud land that is big pharma. But when does the policy, again, it's back to, again, sentiment of our regulators, right? Donald Trump and the FDA and RFK and that the voting, and it's going to change in two months, and it's just like people play the game of politics at the detriment of scientific proof. I mean, this stuff is established, and you guys just don't seem to get that lying and denying this stuff just causes death and destruction. That's all it does. But you guys live in a world where you can shit all over a public bathroom, walk out, and wonder why it smells, and be like, well, it's not my problem, and I still want to be treated like a decent human being. We live in an environment where people do not have to take responsibility for their actions, and that is the most abnormal state of society, law enforcement, regulation, policy, education that could exist. It's a really weird point in history where we're bears in the woods and we first see that mirror, and we all freak out, and it's like, oh, it's just me, right? We all have technology where we all see each other's behavior immediately, and it's just like sentience and sentiment is not one individual. It's the collective awareness of the whole fucking species. And so that's going to progress as it is. We can speed it up or we can slow it down, but you can't change the world. You just change your own personal world, and you do the best you can. Regardless, short CF, kind of a tight stop loss, going into the weekend, getting another $200 back after, the $900 loss on SanDisk, kind of good. But again, truly after a day, I don't even... thinking about past trades is not something I've ever really been prone to do. But regardless, back to SanDisk. We've just now briefly come below 900. Again, we closed right around 900, so obviously any serious retracement off of 900, our price average was at 704. We'll kind of be like but from our management perspective, we have to do that. And this is why you can't meaningfully manage money without risk tolerance, because that's just the nature of the game. You have to play these overall moves. You can't really time the short-term duration moves. You're going to want to try, and I do try, because I just heard Jim Cramer on there yesterday saying, the kids these days, they want to trade every day. It's not even about wanting to trade. It's, again, it always makes sense to buy if something's going to go up. It always makes sense to sell if something's going to go down. Can you reasonably do that with market dynamics that are present? Frankly, yes. If you have a meaningful risk tolerance, you can play these short-term moves, which I think are the most pronounced. Again, just short-term relief from whatever direction you're going in. War. We get an announcement of Hormuz Strait opening. Oh, we don't even know if it's really open or not, but there's a relief pop-up. That type of short-term pressure to medium-term movements, 3 days stimulus, a 1 week stimulus in comparison to a 3-month move with consideration to the backdrop of 3 years is the most predictable thing in the market for sure, guaranteed. On SanDisk, again, we have earnings next week. We're in earnings season, so all of these CF is the beginning. Dividend will be paid out of CF. I expect to close that either today or certainly anything close to 100 price per share. The hard stop loss is, again, to not cut it short if it sells off anymore today, considering it is Friday. We'll consider holding it over the weekend because, again, $200, again, it's some money, but if it were to appreciate for any reason, these appreciation days, it gets smacked down so hard by any sort of resolution. And so it'll be a game time decision. We'll probably do another segment at market close or check in after around 3 o'clock. We'll see. But I'm thinking I'll probably close out CF today. If it has more sell-off, I'll probably hold. If it remains flat or a little bit of appreciation, I will probably close it. We did have, again, a news headline right before I opened this up saying this Iranian government, but I just don't see any appreciation. Like, CF is looking for a reason to sell off, and nothing causes it to appreciate. And so if it were to flutter up or fluctuate up for whatever reason, I'd probably just add to my position. But that will be a game time decision. SanDisk, we have earnings into next week, specifically on April 30th after the bell, so I don't even think that's next week. Regardless, I would be looking to short. I will feel a little sad if we've locked in $900 of loss, and then it goes back to even close to our our entry price, but this thing has just been trading too strong, and up until I expect an appreciation into earnings and then a stronger sell-off from earnings, so we might look to retake a position there. But frankly, I won't. Even if it does retrace, I might feel a little salty, but won't seriously consider taking a position here unless real calamity hits, like real sort of, because this has just been trading strong. Like we've documented, huge appreciation, but real consolidation, real trading, real volume. The market capitalization still isn't crazy, which is kind of silly. It sounds insane to say out loud. But the overall market cap number, new investors could come saying, look, PE, whatever, it's in this AI tech space, memory space. The overall fundamental development is still, I'm playing the breaking of the news cycle, not the actual decrease in demand, which is, for whatever reason, as is right now, the news cycle seems to be demand into at least another year, into mid-2027. But you're going to get depreciation based on guidance and the breaking of that. Everything's going to the moon for sure on memory, AI, tech. Everything's going correct for the bull case on this security. And so on a personal level, probably we'll play it small if we have appreciation above 1,000 into earnings, but playing the sell the news earnings date is for sure the move, in my opinion, here. And so that's my thoughts here. Again, we'll be a little salty if it goes down and we closed right around. But then again, when we closed, it was this day where you can open up at 1,200 and it would be no surprise to me, and then you wipe out all of our profit that we've had. Because we're still sitting up about realized, again, we have exposure open now, but we are in the profit. And so with this, again, realized profit, not including this position, is right around $860. So if we close this back, again, we're right around the $1,000 profit. But just another psychological mental thing is like, hey, I want to keep overall profitability for my short-term movements that we've made during this trading log. And so that's what's going on with SanDisk. Again, would look to anything above 1,000 into earnings. I personally will take another share or two shares. But I really don't have, I'm looking for a conviction on a stock move. And the reason, I'm not trying to make money back on SanDisk, but it's just the reason I was trading SanDisk and CF is because these are the ones that are moving, which I have conviction about. And so we'll be following that here. Netflix was interesting. So this was another one we called long around the 90. The price per share is right, 20% is 20%. So again, the same way we take 10 shares short on CF at 113, it's the same profitability of taking 10 to 20 shares here. Regardless, it's just this. Netflix could have easily gone down from here and wouldn't surprise me. So I have a higher conviction on something, again, like CF as opposed to here. That is why we didn't take a bigger position. All of the positions we've been taking are small. But we had a short-term kind of swing trade thing. Earnings comes out and it gets kind of I don't want to say slammed, but I did have Melissa Lee said it tanks. And I kind of agreed with again, I'm not over here saying I know the right verbs to all of the movements. It's just I have certain reactions to some where it's definitely not that. But to me, this tanks would be kind of appropriate. You have overall selling pressure. We pop back up. Then we resume the uptrend after a little bit of selling off, and then it just kind of smacks down. So tanks, to me, it seemed like an appropriate call from Melissa Lee. Again, being super nuanced, just calling out any intuition I have on this stuff. So from here, I'm kind of just no real opinion. Again, obviously something in the guidance was not exciting. But yeah, so I'd be back to, again, long, short this right now. No conviction whatsoever. But that was definitely something that popped back up on the news cycle and on my write things down, talk about it. And so kind of our final thing is we had David Favor talking about Oracle. And he uses the term, he was like, again, this is this morning. Look how much it up. It's up 30% in a couple weeks. My brother David. This is up, right? Back all the way back again, whole little over 7 months, right around 7 months ago. This is a big appreciation. Since then, we've just been shitting the bed. Absolutely big poo-poo. And so this is not, I agree with Melissa Lee on Netflix tanking. I do not in any way agree with Or no, this is David Favor. I always Santolian Favor. I don't know why. But David Favor says this is like a big appreciation. No. I mean, this is not even... It's up 30% in a couple weeks, which is still down 30% from 4 weeks. And so, like, the overall, again, commenting on the reasonable expectation and the verbiage from our hosts, which, again, I think the hosts have a better overall market understanding than any one CEO. I don't say all of them, but if you just take your generic CEO and put him on the CNBC, as we talked about with the Ion Q CEO, it's just like he goes through this whole Q day thing, and the hosts are just like, yeah, okie doke. And so, like, I think most of the hosts, again, by having the job and as a person watching the content, most of the hosts are pretty good. Fire Joe Kernan. I'm not even kidding. That dude, every time he talks, is just like he's a boomer where if it doesn't make sense to him, he has to be like, I don't agree with that, as if it fucking matters at all. But David Favor, this is in no way, shape, or form like a big appreciation. And so their reaction to stock prices is not like, again, because you're trading an overall move. And so this overall move from Oracle, okay, so this is the past year. So let's go to 10 years. Because, again, this momentum progression is all one thing. And so, yeah, this is in no way big in compared to any part of Oracle's trading in the past. Well, I would say not in no way, but is in no way, this is not, what was the actual, I just have Favor was stunned. Just his overall reaction was like, whoa, look at Oracle today. Look at Oracle over the past, again, let's do 3 years. 3 years is like the only relevant sentiment to me. So in the past 3 years, we're still, again, where you're still up like 60%, down like 50%. So like, why David Favor is this to you? Like, wow. Well, it's up to comparison to this week. Again, it's not a meaningful commentary on the overall move. And that's what you guys should be commenting on as movement, like a trade. Like this thing not flipping up or down for one day. I don't know. That comment was definitely Oracle over 30% in a week. David Favor was like, ooh, ah. And this was like, again, look at this chart. This is not ooh, ah to the upside in any way, shape, or form universe at all. This is like Sean Carroll and the quantum Everettian interpretation of the many-world triple quantum mechanics. In some universe, this is a wow appreciation. In reality, in this universe, which is everything, this is not wow, David. So those were the things I wanted to cover today. Again, this overall just positive general sentiment. I have no real conviction on anything. Besides CF, we are in profit over here. Still watching SanDisk. Again, I would say if this were to tank, the missed opportunity is not like FOMO. It's just I have no other convictions. This thing is going to come down substantially, and I want to be in it. I really don't think about the money we lost, because again, my overall accounting is all the movements we've made recently. And so, but again, if I wake up, it's in at 650 one day, or again before the earnings, then it would be like, you missed a move more so than a dollar figure. Because I really, on a personal level, do not have this like. I don't think realization, like once you close a position, it's just kind of done. And then, as I address again, so I don't have constitutional rights. I want to be in the game. I want to be trading. I want to be doing this shit every day. Because once I'm never going to get published. That's never going to occur. I beg for constitutional rights literally every single day. I want money to function, and like this is my only opportunity. Because again, if I had constitutional rights, I would literally be the wealthiest person on planet Earth, like immediately, like immediately. I own education. Here's the demonstration of all of analysis. Not the point for this series. That is what I have for right now. We are finishing up right around noontime, 12:05 p.m. We will check in later. Friday, April 17th, 4:07 p.m. What's up, everybody? Market closed just over 7 minutes ago. Couple final thoughts, not too much. I decided to hold CF over the weekend. Right, the news cycle right now is just about, the strait's open, Can ships go through? I definitely think we'll see further resolution in price action movement into next week. Definitely looking to cover, certainly will cover anywhere close to 105 to 100. I would have no prospectus as past that if it could go lower, but pretty much certainly going to cover into those areas if we get there. If we flutter up for whatever reason, as we talked about this morning, same prospectus, nothing has changed. We'll short more if for whatever reason this goes higher. But it's been there's nothing new to say from the morning segment. So kept this position open, feeling pretty good about it. SanDisk finished up pretty strong, nothing new there. If it appreciates going into earnings, we'll probably shoot short a share or two. We'll cover it going into it, but almost certainly, again, still like 10 trading sessions or something. But almost certainly we'll have an appreciation into like the day before. Then I'm expecting the sell-off kind of like Micron did on the actual report, sell the news type of deal. And so that's our perspectives there. Nothing really new. Did close Joby. We were long here. Oops. If I can type today. But close this at $9.50. Went up again. I think we're up $75 total for all activity at Joby. But we were at like $8.35 for the entry on 35 shares, a rather small position, but we cleared over $1 a share, well over 20%. Look at that. And so close that. Just kind of having fun with super small positions over here. We've accumulated about $75 of profits. And then for one of my more professional talking points on a Friday, I wrote this down. Jenny Harrington needs dicked down. And so that was a very exciting talking point. A regular contributor to CNBC. She always just seems very uptight and very, not in like an aggressive, like in a mean way. She just seems very tense. So I just figured, hey, Jenny, bust it open, throw it back, have a crazy weekend, blow off some steam. And after I wrote down my great talking point, I kid you not, she herself says, something to the effect, even with my negativity. So some self-awareness there. She was talking negatively over, I guess, her perspective on the market in some aspect. I wasn't really watching the segment all that much. Just her presentation, she just seems really uptight and tense. So I just figured I'd recommend some weekend activities for Jenny Harrington. Overall, didn't really watch the market too much. Didn't really write down any other talking points. Nothing really else comes to mind, so this will be at the tail end of like a 25-minute video. So that is what I'm doing, still short CF through the weekend. Pretty high conviction on that. Again, right now it's like, okay, Iran's saying the Strait's open. Have the ships gone through yet? I'm guessing we're going to have some more resolution by Monday, and I expect we'll see CF open up on a little gap down. And so that is what I have for trading. Nothing too exciting since the morning, and we'll call it a weekend. So all of those hard workers out there, go again, enjoy another 2 days off. Enjoy getting a paycheck for your job. I will still not have income. I still will not be able to afford food properly. All of analysis is still sitting on the internet. Another huge episode just done. I have to edit it a little bit. But to whoever's watching this, again, literally currently right now, hey guys, can you just give me some money? Can you just allow me to live my life to a little bit, to some extent at all, fucking ever? That would be nice. But all of the hardworking Americans who, again, piss all over the Constitution with every waking action in their entire life, continue on being privileged. And again, it's a nice break for all those hardworking Americans who've contributed nothing of meaning to their community or to society, who continue to lie about science, continue to facilitate racketeering, conspiracy, and criminal activity globally. You guys need a nice long weekend. Kick up the legs and just relax, and I'll just keep doing everything for everybody because you fucking idiots can't do anything. That's what I have for today, or for right now on this video, and I will see you next time.